to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having me.
This is so cool. I'm really digging this whole series. Tell us about it.
So the whole series revolves around a medium, so a spiritual medium. She can see ghosts. The first book, she meets her main love interest, who is a man who actually, unfortunately, passes away, and he comes to her to find out what had happened.
And that was her love interest?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, she has two in the first book because...
And they're all ghosts?
No.
Oh, one's real?
One's ghost, and then one is the detective who is working with her to solve the murder mystery.
That is creepy. Yeah. I love it. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yeah. So what inspired this?
So a little bit of here and there. My big media inspirations was the movie Ghost and the book series Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz. Those were really impactful to me, so they kind of mixed in. But the big thing is that I have a criminology degree, so the crime and murder mysteries and true crime kind of come into it. But I also had a lot of spiritual things that happened to me when I was a kid.
Like what?
I saw things at my grandmother's house. A lot of doors would lock on me when I was in the room alone. I would hear things, see things, hear voices a lot of the time.
They say kids are more in tune to that. Mm-hmm. So you had those actual experiences.
Yeah, and I still do to this day every once in a while.
But not as strong as when you were a kid?
Not as strong as when I was a kid. But I've also developed it. Apparently my mom says on the female side of the family, a lot of us are very intuitive to that.
Wow.
But a lot of us also shut it down. Me, curious kid that I was, I'm like, I want to understand this a little bit better, so I developed it as much as I could.
Oh my goodness. Did you ever watch the show Medium?
I've watched quite a few of them. Yeah, but that one
I love that.
Yes,
I used to love that series. But, we actually, this place is haunted and the curtains move sometimes. But they seem to like the show, so.
They don't cause any issues.
No,
so
and
good.
I feel like I'm well liked here.
It's like, she's okay. We'll just leave her alone.
Right?
Maybe just wrestle a few things here and there.
Exactly. No, that is so crazy. So you have so many things to delve. You have your past of experience of that. You actually have the criminology degree. Yeah. Wow, that is really impressive. So what's the feedback you're getting?
So far, it's been very positive. I haven't had an overwhelming, a lot coming in, but a lot of the reviews that I have been getting and the sales I have been very positive. There's always going to be those 1 or 2 star reviews, but a lot of those is just okay, that book just wasn't for them. But a lot of the 5 stars, you get that feedback of oh, I want more, or I want more of this character, and it's very exciting. Is the only word I could really think of.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I assume there's a little bit of the main character in you. You're a little bit of the main character.
A little bit, yeah. That one actually had a little bit of developing process when I was getting Anastasia, which is her name, getting her up off the ground because she fell very flat in the first book, but she was kind of going from a place of, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want to keep doing this unless I can control it, to, okay, this is a whole different way to view it because of the adventure she had with Mel, who is the ghost in the first book. So it was very hard for me because sometimes you don't always have the best view of yourself, but you know what you need to put into that character of yourself. So it was a struggle, but it was a good time once I finally got a pathway for her.
So how did you get a publisher? You got a publisher that helped you with the design of this and everything. Did you just put it out there where you're just sending out synopsises everywhere, or? So
at first I was doing I was reaching out to different publishing companies or to different agents, literary agents, to see if they would pick me up. I was getting a lot of rejections, which happens.
That's what I always hear.
It always happens.
Yeah, I hear there's hundreds. I heard that's what happened to Harry Potter. So
yeah, exactly. It's constant. And that's perfectly fine. One day I was actually looking through different publishing links and everything and came along Clan Whalen Publishing, who's where I went through. Small publisher. They took a piece of my book, and I submitted it, and they're like, yes, we want to do this. We only do paranormal romance books. So
wow, you were good on finding that genre.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, my niche, my people. Let's do it. So that's where I went, and we did the series. They only wanted to do series, so I ended up doing 3 books instead of just the first one.
So that wasn't the plan?
Nope.
No way. My goodness.
My first book was, I'm like, okay, I might just do a standalone and see how it does, and maybe develop like a series.
So in the back of your mind, that was a possibility.
It was a possibility, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do right off the bat.
What? That is crazy.
Because it's my debut novel. I'm like, let me try and see how it is. And instead of a debut novel, I had a debut series.
Wow. Okay, so you said you have 7 books in mind. Who came up with that? Did they come up with it, or you came up with that?
I came up with that. Originally, they're like, we need at least 3 books for the series.
Imagine, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, 3 books. Let's see what we can do. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so my plan for each book is there's going to be a different paranormal entity, monster thing that comes out, and then there's going to be a new kind of murder mystery in each book. So the first one is all about ghosts, Mel having his unfortunate end and finding out what happens there. The second book introduces vampires and a serial killer. The third book introduces shapeshifters and witches, and it's a lust or passion killing. So I want to kind of continue that with the next 4 books and have things like succubus or succubi, and maybe even some golems, some zombies. There's so many things to reach out to, especially from New Orleans, which is where it's based. There's so many different myths and legends that go around there. Like just the vampires alone, they have vampire houses of people who live in the vampire houses, and they have their own crews of vampires. So like there's the House of Dreams and just these different houses. And they'll go out and do public things like food drives and stuff like that, but they are vampires. That
is interesting. So you have many layers of like fiction going on here. A lot of times it's like that's enough, the medium's enough, but it still like could happen. But now you're getting the vampires and all. That is really how do you make that all so believable?
Well, I want it all to be based in reality. So with the vampires, like I said, there's vampire houses in New Orleans.
Right.
That's true to life. There are people that go around and they're like, yeah, we have our donors that we go and we feed from, and then we go upon our day. We're just, I still eat garlic, and I still do this, I still do that. And then there's witches. I mean, across the country, there's Wiccan religion, there's witches, there's witchcraft. So that's a good tie-in. In New Orleans, they have their own special werewolf called the Rougarou, which comes into my 3rd book. And that is actually tied in with witchcraft, so they married very well together.
Wow. What about aliens?
I don't know if I'm going to go into aliens quite yet.
Well, it's not like you haven't gone. You're actually going pretty far as it is. I was just kind of like, I think it's really cool, and you're actually going the sources.
Mm-hmm. It's like the closest thing I would probably go to aliens is just because it's more heavenly bound, is I am going to introduce angels at one point. Because there is a demon influence throughout the first 3 books especially, and that's going to continue on through the next 4. So I do want to introduce angels in one of my books. I believe I'm planning on it to be my 5th book.
Wow, and then where did you get your criminology degree?
Here at Fresno State.
So what do you plan to do with that?
This.
That is, so where do you go when you like have questions about different things that you're doing?
It's a lot of research. So
I imagine.
Not just Google, but, I'm like, okay, what can I find on Google, but where's that going to lead me further?
Right, because you're actually going to people and like learning about the vampire culture. That's beyond Google.
Yeah. I have
really...
to dig up interviews. I have to, do a couple of different things. And I'm so scared that there's an FBI person on the other end of my like search history. Like, what is she doing?
Yeah, you better hope nobody ends up dead.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no. I promise you that wasn't me. I actually have a shirt that I wear every once in a while. I'm like, just ignore my search history. I'm a writer, not a murderer or serial killer.
I love that. That is so perfect for you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then since you have that whole other side of criminology, and you said you're doing passion killings, are you going a lot on the side of the killer being a little more empathetic and like a real person instead of just bad versus evil? I'm getting that vibe from you right now.
Yeah, each villain or bad guy has some kind of motive just like in the real world, serial killers, murderers, all have motives.
We all start out the same. We're all the same.
So it's not just like, oh, I'm going to kill you just because it's evil. It's like, there's a reason behind it. There's a reason for the type of killing that's happening. Like even the serial killer, it's kind of a deranged reason, but there is a reason why he's doing it.
And that's often the case. So that's really cool. Yeah. Wow, this is to go inside of your mind.
Yeah, I have, my best friend is actually one of my my low-key editors, and she's just like, okay, this doesn't make sense, but she's just like, why do you know these things? And I'm like, well, one, criminology degree, and two, I research. I like to look things up. I like to figure out how things work, especially in this kind of, in like a true crime setting. Just like, why would they do that? What is the reason for that? Is it just because they are crazy, or is it because something happened 20 years ago, in their childhood?
So what, since you've gotten feedback, do you have a series? You have 3 books that are actually out. Did anybody in that feedback that you got inspire things that you're actually going to change in the future books?
A little bit. I know there's a few of them that are like, well, I want to know more about this character, so either their background or what's next for them.
And then you were like, I never thought about that. Well, okay.
I had an inkling, but since you asked, kind of go into there, because there's a vampire character that is introduced in the second book. He continues throughout the series, and there's going to be a book further down the line that's going to be more focused on him and his story and his conclusion, pretty much. Not much necessarily his death, but just a nice wrap-up for him.
So you know who she's going to end up with in the end? If it's going to be the ghost?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, throughout the series, like, pretty much the main couple get together in the first book. They have their troubles throughout each book as it goes. And there's other romances that kind of bloom around them. But for the most part, I'm keeping them pretty close. But there are some contenders that try to oust the ghost.
I imagine. Wow, that's really interesting. And so where can people purchase this at?
It's going to be online, Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. All 3 books are on there. It's also available on Walmart.com. There's nothing in print in retail stores at the moment, but Amazon, if they go to my website, AnabellCaudillo.com, they can go ahead and get the link there to go straight to my books.
That's so cool. And I love how you found a publisher, because I think a lot of times, there's a lot of writers and they're just like, it's not a super lucrative thing to find, but you got a publisher that believes so much in you, they're like, well, we're going to do more. So that's got to be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the publisher I was working with, unfortunately, aren't going to continue on, but I am continuing on. So I'm really excited about the next 4 books and where they're going to go, because if I'm working with someone or not, they're going to get out there and the story will continue. What
was some of the advice you got that you took or was surprised about in this process?
A lot of formatting, a lot of formatting issues, grammatical sometimes, but learning to think outside of my own head was a lot of it, because a lot of when you're writing, you're like, okay, I can see it. I know exactly where the characters are. I know what they're doing. And my in-home editor, Kim, would come to me. She's just like, where did this come from? I'm like, well, it was in the corner. Did you say it was in the corner? I'm like, probably not. And she's like, okay, maybe that's something that
So you guys are a good team like that. Yeah. That is good to have a person like that.
Yeah, and she bless her, we're halfway going through the editing of the second book. So halfway through the second book, first book's already done, it's going to print, we're good to go. She's in the second one, she's going through and she's like, I need to tell you something, and it's not going to sound good.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay. She's like, I don't like Anastasia. I'm like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, I don't know, there's something. I mean, she's like, I see you in her, but at the same time, like, you're funny. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she helped me kind of express the personality a lot more, push it a bit more.
That's what you said, she was a little bit flat. Okay.
Yeah, so she's really good about being blunt and being out there. But
that is a good person to work with. Yeah, wow.
She's a good friend. I mean,
a good friend and a good person to work with.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So I had to go back, and I think we were 15 chapters in. I went through chapter 1 through 15 and inserted more personality, since she has grown from the first book. I'm like, okay, she is a little flat in the first book. She grows, and then now this is a year later for the second book. So that
is so cool. And so I know the $1 million question, which everyone asks you, and I'm sure I know the answer to this. Movie Movie.
Oh, I would love a movie. I would love a movie. I would love a series because I was thinking, I always talked with her, and I'm like, it would be interesting if we did like a season for each book. Just season 1 is book 1, season 2, and go from there.
Like a Netflix series. Have you thought about who would play Anastasia?
It's been so weird. We've gone through a couple of different people, and
I already knew.
I'm like, I can't, and it's so bad. I'm horrible with names, but I remember faces. Even with celebrities, it's horrible.
No, I get it.
It's horrible. Oh my goodness. Hunger Games, Katniss.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So kind of around that kind of person is what I would look for Anastasia. Still strong, but still have that vulnerability. And I think she played it pretty well with Katniss.
Right.
As far as Mel, the ghosty, like, I know his name, Colin Donahue. He played Hook in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feel that I had for Mel. And then we have a couple of other characters that show up, like the detective, who's the other interest in the first book. He's very much into Anastasia as well. So him, I don't know who would play him. I have so many different faces for him in my mind. But yeah, I would love for it to be on screen. I would.
That'd be great. Where can we follow you to see everything?
Again, my website, AnabellCaudillo.com. I'm also on Facebook. I have my own group on there, Anabell's Realm. You can search by Anabell Caudillo, find me. I'm also on Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram.
And that is also the name?
Yes, author Anabell Caudillo on Instagram.
Oh my goodness. And then you have to tell everybody the story of this, because you said it took a lot of different tries to get the graphics.
Yes. We went through at least 7 or 8 different covers.
Did you draw anything on yourself, or you just completely had to detail and tell
I can
people?
draw, but I cannot do covers. I have found this out about myself.
You tried to.
I do most of my graphics for my website and everything, but this is something completely different.
Okay.
So we tried people on the front cover. We tried different kind of effects on the front cover, and just nothing was working. We went through about, like I said, 7 or 8 different designs until she's like, well, why don't we just take people out of the cover, my publisher? And I'm like, okay. She's like, think of a symbol. And when you think New Orleans, you think of the fleur-de-lis. Like, that is their staple. The Saints have the fleur-de-lis on the side of their helmet. And I realized through research that my family crest coming over from England on my dad's side actually has 12 fleur-de-lis.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
okay.
I didn't know that when I chose it.
No way.
Yeah. Well, we thought it was boars on our crest, and that's actually a different branch of our family.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's not the branch we came from, because I've done the research. This is the branch, and this is our crest.
That is funny.
So, but I wanted to introduce the fleur-de-lis in each one of the covers in a different way. So the first one is very like quintessential ironwork. That's what it is. The second book is a mausoleum, marble.
So we keep it the same and just different. Okay.
Yeah, in just different ways. And then the third one is wood carving. And I have an idea for the succubus one. I wanted it to be the neon of Bourbon Street.
Oh, that's pretty.
So
what's your obsession with New Orleans?
I fell in love with it. My brother lives there.
Okay.
And I visited it for the first time in February of 2020 before everything went to pot.
Oh, man.
And I just fell in love with it. The history of the city, it's beautiful, it's old, and it's very spiritual also, so I fit right on in, and I just fell in love with it. I've been back last year, and I'm planning to go a little bit later this year as well. So it's my yearly trip.
Well, this is so awesome. We're going to follow you on everything. Do you do book signings, or is it hard because they're not printed? They're not.
So I'm trying to set up some. I know that I was asking a couple of bookstores, but nothing's in the works as of right now. But it is in the works as of reaching out, because like you said, it is a little hard when there's not a printed retail market on it right now. It's mostly online.
And what's the age range to read?
18 and above.
So there's some good stuff.
There's some spice in there.
Like it?
There's some spice. It's not overly dramatic or anything. We're not looking at shades of gray or anything, but it is a little spicy. It does need to be over 18.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on my show. I cannot wait to read this.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for coming on my show today.
Thank you, Sparkle. Good to be with you.
Okay, so how long have you guys been the California Melody Boys?
This group was started in 2002. Totally different lineup than what you see here right now. A gentleman named Larry Martin started the group back in 2002, and about 2015 I took control, and he resigned. And
But you were in the band?
not back then.
Okay.
I was with another group. Actually, I traveled with my brothers in a Christian music group for about 42 years.
What were you guys called?
Crandall Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. Made sense since we're all brothers. So couldn't think of anything else tricky to call it, you know. But yeah, after about 42 years, I resigned from them and hooked up with another trio for a while. And then when Mr. Martin resigned from this group, he handed the reins over to me and picked these guys up, and off we go. So
That is so awesome. And then you guys were really busy. You said 53 dates, like in a year, so every weekend?
Every weekend, pretty
every
much, yeah. He kind of said, you know what, this is Christian music, so our faith guides us in what we do musically. And Craig said, I think that God would like to supply us with at least 50 dates this year.
I just picked a round number, and I thought 50 is a good number.
Yeah.
So I go, he can do it. He can open the door. So
And so,
the phone
kaboom.
just started ringing.
No way.
Yeah.
So where all are you guys going to go for these 50 dates?
Wherever.
Yeah.
We after, when pandemic came, we went pretty dormant for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of situations. The gentleman that was singing with us, one of the guys that was with us, passed away from COVID.
Oh, no.
In 2021,
Yeah.
November. And then a few months later, he decided he had to have open heart surgery.
Yeah. I was
And,
bored, so.
Something
to do,
else to- So they installed a zipper here. But and then a few months after that, my wife at the time had passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Oh, I'm
And,
sorry.
Thank you. And so we were just dormant, not kind of just loss of direction.
Yeah, we just felt like we just got punched and we're on the side.
Every
Yeah.
time we turn around.
Yeah, we
Something
just
happened,
get
yeah.
smacked, So,
Yeah.
and on New Year's Day of 2023, I was doing a solo event at a church in Chowchilla, and I just really felt an urge that that God's not done with me yet, because once my wife had passed, I thought, okay, I'm hanging it up. I'm just going to go off into the sunset,
Right.
Yeah.
And so I called Craig and said, you know what, I think it's time to take another look and see what's in store.
Yeah.
We hired John, and it's just like, boom, things
Yeah.
just opened up, and immediately, he had his first concert with us in April of 2023, and it's just been gangbusters ever since.
Yeah.
Who does most of your booking?
I do.
You know,
Yeah.
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 So what made you take over an existing band instead of just creating a whole new band?
Well, I was singing with these three guys, and I really never pursued the leadership role. when the other gentleman, Larry, was retiring, he said, I thought this through. He said, I really think you should carry it through. He says, here, you take it. I'm like, oh, and like I said, I had sung for over 40 years, but never in any kind of leadership role. And so I just had to pray a lot. I really did, and just say, I need direction. I don't know how to do this, but, with his help we can. We can do all things, So it's been an amazing journey so far.
An interesting thing about the community of groups that are like us that we sing in that are here in California is a lot of people don't know. Like all three of us have known each other for a very long time, even before we got in this group. And the three of us have actually sang either together or in, like I filled in with this group when it was under the original ownership.
Yeah.
He had too. I had sang in a group that had just gotten off the ground that was from here in Fresno, and then I left to go sing in Canada for a while, and he ended up singing in that group, taking my place in the
Oh
chorus.
my goodness, that's
And the
funny.
very first group that I sang in was with him and his brother down out of the Tulare area. So we've all known
I
each
do
other.
hear about that a lot
Yeah,
locally,
yeah,
that
yeah.
happens.
Pretty
So,
cool,
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very unique thing to know each other, and it's really cool because through the years, these two guys have really become my best friends even before we started this group. So,
Yeah.
to not only be busy with what you love to do, but to get to do it with your best friends, it's just really like extra cool.
Yeah.
It's really icing on the cake.
Yeah. Well, it's just, and again, my faith tells me that that these are divine appointments.
Oh yeah.
By putting us three together at just the right time. And we call this album here a story to tell because we do have a story to tell.
There's a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah. And of course, the main story we want to tell is the love of Christ, through our music, and bring people to a knowledge of Him through our music. We go to all different kinds of venues, churches, concert venues, and so forth.
We'll sing anywhere, really.
Yeah, we will. I mean, we would go to the local bar if they would have us.
Right.
I mean, yeah, really,
wrong with that?
and just to spread the love of Christ and let people know that there's a better way, and so that's our main focus. And we promised when we got together, we met when we hired John. We met at Cattleman's down in Selma, and we had dinner. We talked.
Guys,
That's a good place to eat.
If you have a love affair with red meat, that's a place to go. But we promised that night. We said we made a commitment. If God opens the doors for us to go, we'll go wherever we go. We'll sing for 5 people. We'll sing for 5,000, and we've done all of that.
Done both, yeah.
And it's just wherever the opportunity arises, and we just go. Try to be faithful.
No, that's great. And as far as concerts, musical content, are you doing a lot of the music you guys have created, the original band created, or Christian covers?
They're mostly covers, yeah.
So most of that. Some of it's original music, though, right?
Yeah. Well, we haven't written anything on this particular album.
Okay.
But what we do have is we have a couple very old songs that are even public domain, for example, that that we take and we do our own arrangement with them. In fact, there are 2 tracks on there that's called "Pass Me Not," and there's a reprise at the end. One of them is just a little bit of country sound to it, and then at the end it's very acoustic and
2 totally different
yeah,
versions.
yeah,
of the
kind of
same song.
like a string quartet going in, and same song but just 2 different feels. And so we do a lot of that. We like to take things that nobody else is doing, and
Yeah, we don't want to copy what everybody else is doing out there. There's plenty
So you're
of
going
that.
to take some stuff that exists and make it your own.
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
like to go back in
Yeah.
time and pull stuff from the past, bring it up, refresh it, make it new.
Yeah.
But one thing you'll find about if you listen as you listen to that CD, you'll find that you can't really pinpoint. Oh, these guys are like country, or these guys are like.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
We try to have a really broad spectrum to appeal to a wide variety of people. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your music taste might be jazzy and like tight harmonies.
Right.
There's a couple songs that you'll like on there. You might like a little more country beat. You'll find something there. You might like something smooth and poppy. You'll find that there too. So we just try to really be very
diverse.
diverse in our music selection. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I mean, the genre that I was raised in, and these guys as well, was called Southern Gospel, and that's very back in the 60s and 70s, Southern Gospel, everybody dressed alike in their suits and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
You had matching outfits.
Now I made that the law. We will not dress alike.
No.
We're individuals. But we kind of came out of that, and we just decided we wanted to step out of the box because, people change, culture changes, and you just kind of like, again, want to have something that appeals to everybody, in an audience. Because in Southern Gospel these days, it's mostly 55 and above,
Right.
And,
Yeah.
which we are.
Yeah.
But the music is
throwing that
fresh. So, who are some of your musical influences?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, you might be surprised if you
Yeah.
hear from me. Okay, so I'll give you some of mine.
Okay.
Okay, I can go back. Frank Zappa,
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Genesis, Rush, and then some of the '70s Christian guys. Seawind was a jazz Christian group from then. Michael Bublé. I like Michael Bublé. I like the jazz side. I like hardcore jazz, like Snarky Puppy. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but I was very into progressive rock. So I know it sounds weird to hear me saying that and do Christian music, but those are my influences, and I think.
I like that. I think that's actually good. It probably really comes through on it.
Yeah. And John, you sing a lot of rock and roll, didn't you?
I did. I was in a few rock bands.
Is this your first
In the
Christian
valley.
band?
No. My brother and I started a group called Sons of the Shepherd back in the late 80s.
Oh yeah.
So we progressed many, many years. But I get bored and go off and sing in different groups and stuff. Because I needed more. I grew my hair a
He
little.
was bored.
Filler.
Yes. He reached to the bottom of the barrel, and here we were.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The thing is, Sparkle, when we go out and we do a program, and we go share with people our music, and the reason we call it a story to tell is not just because the group has been through some things, but each one of us individually has been through a lot. And we have a story to tell because the people we're singing to, they've all been through stuff like that, I found myself suddenly in 2006 a single dad to 6 kids at home because my wife just turned her back and walked away.
Wow.
And that there's people out there that are dealing with that it's easy to feel like, well, you don't understand how I feel. But I want you to know I do because I've been there. So that's the point. And he's been through losing his wife to cancer. So there's people out there that are dealing with that. John's been through some. We've all been.
What has
through
John been through? Come
Ah,
on, John. Give me a story.
This is going on
kids.
public record. Just so you know.
right, yeah. My kids will see this.
Yeah.
He's raising teenagers, so enough said.
Yeah.
But we've all had our struggles, and that's the point. That what we try. When people come to see us and listen to us, we don't want to give the image that we've got it all figured out, we've got it all together,
Right,
we're perfect.
yeah.
We're far from it. We're just as messed up as anybody else. We're just trying to share how we got through it, and that we've been where you are. We know what it feels like, and we know what the hurt feels like. So we're just trying to encourage people.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, but that's one of we go by three mottos. I mentioned one a while ago. We'll sing for 5 or 5,000. Another one that we like to say is we want to be an encouragement to the believers because we want our music to be uplifting to those that are believers, but we want to take as many to heaven with us as we possibly can, and we do that by introducing them to Jesus and through our music, and hopefully that they'll be able to be have that life-changing experience and relationship with Christ and gets them to heaven. That's our other motto. And of course, our other mottos is we travel completely by faith.
we are a faith-based ministry.
Yes, we are very much a faith-based. Now, we are not officially legally a nonprofit, but we are a nonprofit. So we get my drift.
Well, being a musician in Central Valley usually leads to that.
But we say we're not in it for the income. We're in it for the outcome, and the outcome is leading people.
That's a great
to know.
But hey, the income doesn't hurt, just so you know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so do you guys have a social media, and are you guys good about telling us where you're going to be if it's open to the public and we can come see you?
Oh yeah. We have social media. We run our website.
So is it California Melody Boys everywhere across the board? For everything, we can follow you on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
California Melody Boys on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and then our website. CaliforniaMelodyBoys.com or .org, either one will get you.
Yeah.
And our schedule is there, and a lot of times we'll post our upcoming schedule for the next month or
that's
two
good. I love when
on
people do
Facebook,
that. It's
so
really
people know where
helpful.
we're going to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're always announcing at least a week before, hey, this is where we're going to be this weekend.
So we're going to be this weekend.
Actually, that's a good.
We're going to be attending a wedding.
Yeah.
Mine.
Wow.
Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah, this coming
And you're
Saturday.
going to sing at it?
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be singing to my new bride.
Him and I have bets to see if he can get all the way through the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without her getting sick at her stomach. No, just-
Wow. No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah, about a little over a year ago, I was introduced to this beautiful lady, and her name is Kathy, and we were singing at an outdoor event in Bakersfield on Memorial Day, and at that point, my wife had only been gone a few months. I just really wasn't that interested in,
Right.
And Kathy kept showing up every now and then at some of our events locally, and
I thought she was there checking me out.
yeah. We were at a small church here in Fresno one Sunday morning after Labor Day last year, and she showed up and just something clicked. Said, "Go talk to her." And so I sat and talked to her for a bit, and then as we always have a product table set up at the end of our concert, she walked by and I said, "Hey, would you like to get coffee or lunch or something?" And she said, "Sure, I would like that." So she kind of stood around for a minute and says, "Okay, well, we'll see you." Well, I hadn't been in the dating thing for well over 40 years.
Oh,
And
boy.
I forgot her phone number, forgot to get her phone number.
He let her walk away, did get her phone number. It's like, hello, McFly.
Yeah, come on. So, but thank God for Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook.
That's what I was going to say. You
connected 2
social
days
media
later.
stalker.
Yeah, doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found her. So,
He found her.
What a great story.
Yeah, so we, a couple months ago, I gave her a ring and she said yes. So,
Aww.
so there you go. Second chapter of the life.
I love that. That's a really good story.
She's a really great fit, too. She loves going and traveling with us.
Oh yeah, I guess we take her along and.
You got her as a groupie now?
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh!
oh, yeah.
Yes,
She's up there winding up chords. I'm like, sit down.
Yeah, she does. She'll set up our product table. Her and John's wife Cindy.
Yeah.
They'll both. As soon as we pull up, they get in the trailer. Man, they're pulling product out. I'm like, wow, okay, I'll sit back and watch this.
That ain't gonna last long.
No. But no, it's great, and it's really a neat thing to have that kind of support because
Right.
I always tell her she's the president and one member of our Fresno fan club.
That's
So
That
Only
is-
member is she's the president.
yeah.
So since we're not all going to crash your wedding this weekend, where's the next place that the general public can come see you guys?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. The 30th, we're going to be up in.
Do you remember?
The town of Riverbank
Where's
on a
that?
Sunday morning. It's
Near
just
Modesto.
east of Modesto.
Okay.
And then Houston, which is also east of Modesto, will be there.
In Riverbank in the morning and Houston,
Houston at night.
H-U-G-H, S-O-N, not Houston, in the evening.
Wow, you're double duting? Wow, you guys
Yeah,
are busy.
Yeah, we have actually at this one church in Riverbank. We'll be at it's Assembly of God Church. We'll be there 2 services, 9 a.m. and 10:30, and then we'll tear down and we'll go over to Houston and set up for a 5 o'clock barbecue and concert.
Wow, I'm really impressed.
Well, that's, we almost had a real
man.
deal on our hands. A few weeks ago, we were scheduled to be in Visalia on a Saturday morning at 10, and then we were scheduled to sing in Reno
At
that
7
evening
o'clock.
at 7, and then sing again Sunday morning at that same church, and then do another church there Sunday afternoon, and then come home. And we were thinking it is going to be a fast trip.
It's gonna be a barn burner.
Did you guys do it?
So, but there was a scheduling conflict with the Reno church, and they said we're going to have to reschedule. And we're like,
Yeah, we wiped the sweat off our. And so what we were able to do is the one in Visalia Saturday morning. They expanded our program for that.
so we
it
did
worked
2
out.
sets there instead of one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Worked out
Pretty
perfect.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we were a lot less tired.
Yeah.
Yes.
I imagine.
Yeah.
But we will go to Reno. We go to Northern California, Southern California.
You'll go everywhere. You
Yeah,
really,
we'll go
really
wherever the
saying
bookings
that,
are.
yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm working on a little tour that hopefully will come to fruition next year in Texas and so forth.
That's awesome. And can we purchase the CDs on the website for the
Yes,
California?
can.
Okay.
Yes.
They're all there.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on my
Thank
show.
you so much
for having
I
me.
love your story.
High upon a mountain top, old Abraham did go. With a broken heart and a promised son, oh, he loved him so. That boy said, Father, where's the lamb? And Abraham replied, Son, it his time, the Lord, he will provide. He provided a lamb when it seemed all hope was lost. He provided a lamb that fully paid the cost. So when faith is low as it can go and fear it won't subside, know that in his way and in his time the Lord, he will provide. A cross was laid upon his back. He walked up Calvary's hill. The promise of a sacrifice Jesus would fulfill. There had to be deliverance from Satan's evil plan. Salvation was provided by the only worthy Lamb. Well, he provided a lamb when it seemed all hope was lost. He provided a lamb that fully paid the cost. So when faith is low as it can go and fear it won't subside, know that in his way and in his time the Lord, he will provide. He provided a lamb when it seemed all hope was lost. He provided a lamb that fully paid the cost. So when faith is low as it can go and fear it won't subside, know that in his way and in his time the Lord, he will provide.
Thank you guys so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
us.
having us.
And I see, so we were talking off camera. I want to bring this up about your logo for the hand one. So tell us a little bit about that.
So it was developed by a tribal member who, it's actually the international symbol for the missing, murdered Indigenous women, and it's really gone viral. They do a lot of artwork with the red hand. Anytime you see that hand, it's to symbolize the missing or murdered Indigenous women.
Wow. So how did you guys get involved with this?
I have a lot of Native family members, and so and also I seen a lot of kids getting kidnapped, sex trafficked, just runaways. And what happened with runaways, would they would come up missing or being sex trafficked as well. And then Indigenous women, no one's ever really done anything for them as far as their people is missing. They come up
Why
murdered.
is that?
I have no idea.
So
No idea.
the research that I've done is they fall under tribal law, and the federal government requires local departments like Fresno Police Department.
Right.
when
Everyone has their jurisdiction
Right.
of, okay.
They're required to enter a missing person, a missing woman, missing child into the federal database, or the national database. Those laws don't apply to the tribal police, so they're not required to put the women into the database. So there's no actual correct data on how many of these Indigenous women are going missing each year, because we don't know who's reporting it, who's being recovered, what's being found, because they don't fall under federal law. So they're not
Wow.
required to put that in. So
So that
yeah.
almost means a lot of crimes can happen to them, and their own people aren't looking after them. That's terrible.
Right.
Lots of times they have like 2 to 3 police officers on that whole tribal land, and it's hard. And then you have to, in order for people to even get on there, it is federal land, so it's really hard to deal with them. But for us, we're an organization that's not law enforcement, but we have a lot of people that are law enforcement backgrounds, like Cary himself, and so that gives us the the extra edge to go out there and look for them and be able to go on their land, and because we're not law enforcement, to go and help find these women.
So how long have you guys been with this organization?
Gene started the organization.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry. I've been with it for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
I was with another organization, then I came on, and his just spoke to my heart. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump on board and do this, because a lot of organizations deal with missing children. There aren't a lot of organizations that deal with missing Indigenous women. And when Gene said, hey, I want to push this, I really want to run with this, I jumped on board. He's been doing this for several years. He's been trying to get this up and going. We're trying to find the funding. We're trying to find the man hours. We all have jobs.
Right.
I'm retired, but I still work. He's still working full time, and we're doing this every minute that we can. So it's hard for us. We'd love to have the resources to where we could do this full time. That's what we're shooting for. Mm-hmm. But it just hasn't happened yet. Our name's not out there. It's really hard to break into this. And then as far as the tribals go, it's hard to get them to trust you. We're not part of that tribe, so we're trying to build that trust and get our name out there.
So you have like the background, but not per tribe, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well,
because they're all different.
Once you have the background and you do build some relations with them, I do have relations with a few, but with council members with Chikchansi and Tehuan. So I'm trying to build that rapport with them and get this going. And like I said, everything's just time consuming, and time is not working on my side as far as these women. And it's harder because the longer this time lapse between them coming up missing and us being able to get out there to do something, the longer it goes, the harder it is for us to do our job.
And they always say that too. The longer somebody's missing,
yes,
the harder it is to find
right.
them.
Within the first 48 hours, if a child is missing, they're being approached by a trafficker. Within the first 48 hours. So you have to talk about my background. I worked for Fresno PD for almost 20 years. I know the process of what happens when we put in a missing person. We write the report, we enter it into the federal database, it goes out from there. That report is completed at the end of our shift. That may not get to a detective if it's a Friday night. Say detectives have Saturday, Sunday off. And it's not Fresno, I don't want to bash Fresno PD. They're doing what they can with the resources that they can. I'm absolutely not trying to do that. But that detective may not see that report until Monday morning at 7 o'clock when he comes to work. You now have 72 hours possibly.
Oh my
from Friday
goodness.
at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to, it might.
Yeah.
How far can a woman be taken or a child be taken in 72 hours?
Pretty far.
Pretty dang far, right? That's where our organization is different. When we get information on a missing child or a missing woman, we're boots on the ground. We can be at the train station, we can be at the airport, we can be at the locations where they're trafficking these girls, we can be at the bus stops. We can be out there because we have the bodies. We're not paid. We're out there. We can go look immediately. So those hours are crucial, and that's what we're trying to push to the organizations that we're asking for support, or for information. We can be boots on the ground. We're obviously not a recovery. We're not going to snatch and grab somebody. We're going to call the police, let them do their portion, but we can get out there and find these people, quickly.
How many of you guys are there in this?
11 now?
Yeah, close to.
Oh, that's really cool. That's grown since you started it, huh?
Yeah. Well, and it's not just about looking for these kids. That's the main point. That truly is the main point. But it's also fostering relationships with other, like Marjorie Mason Center for Battered Women, and just different organizations that can help us as far as like once we get these children, CPS, going work together.
Yeah, because you can't just take them home afterwards.
Yeah. Well, we have 3 sponsors right now. And so one of them, SynCal, has offered us a fully full apartment with
oh, that's great.
And all that. So that way a kid can go down there and rest, eat, and wait for CPS to.
That's
get
awesome.
them. So it's we've been blessed. I've been blessed having these meeting these gentlemen and having the military and the police background that they all have. It's been amazing, and since they've been on board, everything has just been coming at me at once. It's like so hard, and now it's like they want to build a chapter in Modesto. A pastor called in Texas and wanted to build a chapter in Texas. So this is going like really fast.
Right, and I saw on your site there are people that are missing like across the country. It wasn't just locally that you guys
no,
are
no.
actually
Right,
promoting. They're
Go ahead.
looking for.
Yeah, we want to focus on anyone and everyone. If we
Right.
have resources in those states or those towns, we want to absolutely set up shop with those. We've been partnering with some different groups. I did some training. I want to give a little shout out to the group up north. They're called Without Permission. They're established. They're doing what we're doing, similar, but they have a lot more resources. They have a ranch where these women can go and be rehabilitated. They have a home for the children. They have a sanctuary where we don't have a sanctuary. That was crucial when I was a police officer. These kids, sometimes they need to just get away they're having some struggles at home. They could go to the sanctuary, cool down, come back home. Because a lot of these kids, statistically, return. They come back
Right.
home. Unfortunately, the stats that I'll read for you here in a second, they're more and more going the other way, where they're being approached by those traffickers within the first 48 hours, and then they're gone. They're not in Fresno anymore. They may not even be in the United States anymore.
Right, that's when you talk about 4872, it's like, yeah, you can go far, you can go across the world.
That's what they do. Like one of my buddies from the U.S. Marshals was telling me, when I first started this, and he said, you're not going to be surprised, don't be surprised when you notice, like when you do find a kid from here and they're from Texas or New York, or they bring them here or ship them out to take them out of their element, so they don't.
Oh yeah,
they don't
the
know
further
where
you
to
are,
run,
yeah.
They don't know where to go, so they're not going to go anywhere. So it makes it easier for them and harder for the kids to do anything.
So what are some of your success stories?
Well, I got a call recently, about a month already now it's been, and a 14-year-old boy took off, left in the middle of the night. No one knew where he was. Mom didn't know where he was, freaking out. I got a phone call that said, hey, my son left. I don't know where he's at. I'm really worried. And it's hard for mom because she's a single mom. She works, she's a nurse, and it's hard for her to be home. She works, night shifts.
Right.
So son can go ahead and go, smoke with his friends and take off. Well, he just happened to leave and not come back. So as soon as I got that call, I go out there and interview mom, ask her, what was he wearing, who are his friends, where do they live. And from that point on, it's just about doing research, and I can't really get into like how we go about doing it, but
that's fine. I understand that.
But we got him back, and he was when I seen him, he was relieved. And his friend, actually getting him out of the house, his friend looked at him and said, "Hey, I don't want any problems. I didn't want no trouble. I just, But what I didn't understand was the mother of the friend was allowing him to stay there, knowing he was, a runaway. That's the hard part right there, when parents allow their kids to let their friends stay for weeks at a time or whatever, not, hey, where do you go? I mean, I'd say, well, who are your parents?
Right.
Let me know who they are, you know what I mean? And so it's just, it works against us, but just, stories like that help us. It works. It makes me feel so good to know in my heart that when you see the mom's eyes and she's crying and the son's crying and they're hugging, it just, that's everything to me.
Well, and it's great you guys do that because, in the police force, it's like you have to wait for them to be gone for 24 hours before you take it seriously. Especially the older you are, the less people care. If you're 14, they assumed you did this on your own, that you left.
That's actually a movie and TV thing. There's no 24-hour thing. That's a TV thing.
So that's not true. You guys take it seriously right away.
Especially first-time runaways. Fresno Police Department consider that an at-risk runaway.
You do take it. Okay.
They stay on it until the end of their shift.
I never knew that. That's really interesting.
A lot of people don't know that. That is a TV.
Wow.
That is a movie thing. Jeez. They're like, hey, don't call us until they're gone for 24 hours. And every time I watch a movie, I'm like, that's not true.
Where did that come from? That's terrible.
I don't know. Maybe it's another state. I know. I don't know. But
thanks for correcting me on that. That's really cool. Okay, I'm glad to know that.
The things we learn, right?
Right.
So we can address the real big elephant in the room about what we're concerned with. The missing, murdered Indigenous women. No one is taking that seriously, and no one really knows what the statistics are. Over 5,000 Indigenous women in California alone go missing each year.
Oh my goodness, that's staggering.
65% of them are murdered or homicide related or not.
5,000?
65%. 65%
Or like,
of them don't ever make it home.
okay, wow.
Horrible
Big number.
And you would think, okay, well, what? Maybe they were involved in drugs. You start making these conclusions, and it's not. It's a lot of it has to do with hate crimes. A lot of it has to do with bigotry and
So
poverty.
it's not their own people that are coming out?
No,
Okay.
actually, the greatest percentage of, I'm so sorry, the greatest percentage of these women that are being taken or being or
Keep your
or
phone
being-
on. It might be important. You guys do important stuff.
are non-indigenous people. They're non-indigenous people that are murdering them or attacking them or taking them.
And it seems
So-
like it's easier for them because nobody is doing anything. And
Oh,
nobody
yeah,
has done anything for them.
exactly.
So to them, it's just a free-for-all. Go ahead. You know, no one's going to say anything. No one's going to look. And they just had an event May 5th over here, and council members from different tribes, and it was huge. And they're crying out, you know, we need help. We need somebody to do this for us. And you know, that's, I'm like,
Hey, we're here.
we're right here.
We're right here.
You know, that's our job. That's what we love doing, and it's a passion for me. And you know, like I say, there's the two most important days of your life is the day you were born and the day you found out why. And this is my why. So.
And you got started into it because of your background, kind of being in the tribe.
No, I did it because I was just witnessing and seeing so much stuff going on, and I just got tired of it. And knowing that nobody's helping and no one's doing
Right.
anything, it's just like, well, you know what? Then if no one's going to do anything, I'll do something about it. So I took it upon myself to go out there and start knocking on doors, asking information. Just, you know, I was by myself, and then I had a couple of friends of mine, you know, that would go out there and help me. But it was just so hard. I had so many doors slammed in my face because it was like, well, who are you? You're not nobody, and you know, we don't trust you, or whatever the case may be. And it was hard. And then when I met Rick, was another guy that it's on our board, and we just clicked, you know, and his beliefs were the same as mine, and then I met Cary and the rest of the fellas and the wives and the women, and it's just been a blessing having them to come on board. I mean, it's been amazing. They're amazing. They work just as hard as me. Their focus is just the same as mine. Their energy is the same, and it's just sometimes it feels weird because I'm not used to that, but to hear all this and you see, we're all in a group chat. So to see this and say, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. You know, I don't have to do this now, you know, or I don't have to call these.
You get to delegate.
And I'm like, oh, it seems weird because I'm used to doing that.
Right,
But when you see
yeah, you
other
start
people
as a
doing it,
one-man band.
It's hard to let go, you know, of those reins. It's like, okay, I need to learn to let go sometimes and let them do their thing. But, you know, it's really been a blessing having them. It really has.
So as a community, what do we need to do to help you guys?
It's just having awareness of your children and to know, like, social media. That's a big thing because social media, if you look at these kids, and I'm talking kids from 5 years up, you know, they're allowed to get on Instagram, Twitter,
Right,
those other little things that they can get on.
gaming networks.
Yeah, YouTube. And so they meet these predators. And,
Right.
And so these predators will coerce them to say, hey, you know what, don't tell your mom and dad. Or, you know, they're 11 years old and they're going to meet a 35-year-old man. Like,
Well, these
you
predators are so smart. I
Yes.
just went.
Right.
I've gone through in the last 2 weeks. I've gone through 2 different trainings in human trafficking. I didn't want to be involved in that human trafficking. It's such an ugly thing. I never really wanted. I saw that movie. It's the one with Liam Neeson. Or
Taken?
No.
He's talking about Without a Sound
With-
or something like that.
What is
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
Oh,
I
okay.
saw that movie. I cried my eyes out the entire movie because I've seen some of that stuff in my career. It was just absolutely just devastating to me. They just destroyed me, and I was like, I can't believe that this is true.
Right.
I can't believe that it's a $175 billion, not million, billion dollar industry, trafficking and selling of children and pornography. And I was disgusted. You know where the hub is in the United States? Right here in California.
Fresno.
We are the most, buy the most, and sell the most here in California. And where do they traffic the most of kids out of? Right here in Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
Why? We have the I-5, we have the 80, we have the 10. They all intersect through the Central Valley.
That's so scary.
And they can move these kids. They call it a track, and they move these kids on the track, and they do the circuit, they call it, and they move them around. And it's just absolutely scary. I looked up several different organizations that I wanted to get involved with, and I sent out applications to them. I wanted to do this. I'm like, I want to do this. I never heard back from them. A lot of them, they wanted special operators like Navy SEALs and people with special operations, and they're the ones that are going and getting these kids from other countries and snatching them and grabbing them back. And I don't really have any experience in that. So when Rick, who's a mutual friend of ours, he approached me and said, hey man, I got this opportunity, this guy Gene, this is what he's doing. I'm in, 100% in. This is God's calling for me. He wants me to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Then I started educating myself, getting as much information that I could about what's going on, and the stuff that I found, like, who is looking for these kids? Who has the resources to look for these kids? Who's looking for these women? That's the one that really just got me. These indigenous women, there's no one looking for them.
Wow.
They're not in the database. They're not there.
That is so
And
crazy.
it's federal land. It's hard.
We can't just go out there
Right.
and
Or
get
police
information. And Fresno Police Department, they're not going to go out to the tribal lands because
Right.
they have no jurisdiction, so they're not going out there. I'm like, somebody has to do something. Gene's like, we're doing it. We're going to do it.
I
So
love that.
That was the calling.
So
Yeah,
where do
I
we
knew it.
follow you guys?
We're on you'renotforgotten.net, and we have on there. There's a button where you can get onto the Twitter or X.
And you have a Facebook, and an Instagram.
Yeah. Well, we haven't started the Instagram.
Okay.
yet,
And then what about, are you guys doing fundraising for the nonprofit so you can get you some resources? Have you guys
but
done?
we're trying to. We did get Clausen Honda to give us some funds, and we asked them for referrals to the owners to help with it, because everything right now is coming out of our own pocket.
Is there any fundraising events or anything you guys are working on?
We're going to start working on it.
And
We're
then you guys will
absolutely
showcase
we'll
that
share it
on
with
all the
you.
social media so
We'll
we
share it
can
with social
actually
media.
like go. Because this
Absolutely.
is, I think, a cause everybody wants to get behind.
Yeah. So we're just now boots on the ground, getting going. I mean,
I
things
get
have
it.
really taken off for us. Gene's put in the hard work. We're working on.
We all have.
We have our
Right.
NPO. Our nonprofit is in the works. We're going to have that really soon, and that's what really the sponsors want. They want that number, so they can also. They want to be generous and donate, but they also need to be able
Right.
to write that
Yeah.
off.
They're waiting
So-
for the
which we
pending one. It takes about a week. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so about a
About a
week, and then we'll
about a
post
week.
stuff when we do have fundraisers. We do plan on having fundraisers because we can't survive without the public
and then
support.
we will get that out there and we'll come out and support.
ma'am.
No, we appreciate that.
Thank you guys so much for coming on my show. And thank you guys so much for what you're doing for the
Thank
community.
you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing